And then lastly, my brothers and sisters, as we talk about fathering and leading our children and our households and being spiritual fathers, the last thing that I want to share with you is that a real father always wants to see you do well. In fact, a real father wants to see you do better than them. They always have a desire to see you go further than what they journeyed. They want to see you do well. They want to see you do exceptional. They want to see you outdo them. A real father wants to empower you. Does that make sense? A real power. That's why I was saying earlier, I want to put you in a place where your gifts thrive. I don't want you to be held up. I want to put you in places that fit your personality, that fits your skill set, that fits what you're called to do, because I want you to have good success. Does that make sense? I want to put my children in something that where they can excel. Does that make sense? Put them in the right school, in the right environment, the right sports programs, whatever the case is, whatever they're called to do. I want to help put you in the right place because I want you to go further than I did. If I'm Elijah, I want Elisha to have a double portion. Does that make sense? If I work 16 miracles, Elisha should come along and work 32 miracles, because real fathering wants you to go further than what they did. They want the baton to be passed on. They don't want it to die with them. They want it to be passed on. And the person that's coming next, I expect you to go further than where I went, because I started with nothing. I had no money. I had no support. You had food stamps to make groceries, to buy groceries. Do you understand what I'm saying? You had to wear your sister's clothes. You had to survive just to make it. So if you are now coming along and I made it off of little resources, and now you have a head start by what I'm able to provide for you, not just monetarily, but in wisdom and experience, you ought to go further. And a real father will expect you to do better than them. To do better than them. You're my son. What blesses my heart is for you to do well. For you to do well. Some things went wrong in my life. I want them to go right in yours. Real fathering suggests that I don't want you to have to suffer everything that I suffered. I took the whipping at the whipping post so you wouldn't have to. I took the beating. I went ahead. I stood on the front lines and endured the spiritual attacks so that you, Joshua, could now come along and go into the promised land and possess it. Do you understand what I'm saying? We see this throughout the scriptures. Moses didn't make it into the promised land. He was Joshua's spiritual father. But because Moses had a heart for God, and because God is a God of purpose, when Moses died, the vision continued through the legs of another man by the name of Joshua. And Joshua went on to walk into what Moses only dreamed about. Because real fathering wants you to be mentored properly so that you could be at your best. I want to give you my best advice, especially when you have the right heart and the right spirit. And that's what qualifies them. Because don't give your best to just anybody. You've got to make sure that they have been tempered with pain and discipline and faithfulness and correction. Does that make sense? Because I was just talking about Elijah and Elisha, but Elisha went through many tests before Elijah's mantle was passed on to him. But real fathering wants you to do well, wants you to have success. If I fall out, somebody should pick up the baton and keep it moving.